we bought or became part of Taylor's.
Where Taylor's Furniture was?
I was trying to.
And where the Firestone store was, you know, around the corner?
Yeah, well, there was, I know, I remember that very well.
What was there before that?
This is,
Around the corner from Taylor's store, and then we had the Firestone store there. Planned
it
Parenthood.
was a barber shop, Old Man Curry.
Oh, was that in my time?
Yes.
Was there a tavern?
I think I remember a barber shop. Yeah, vaguely. Kern's Barber Shop.
Was there a tavern?
Yes, and then this building next to it was, the building here to the right. No, right. That became a grocery store. I remember that. And there was a barber shop.
Litchfield's grocery store?
Yeah.
When the
No, Crooks. It was a big barber.
Wait a minute. This is the one that we later had as the Firestone store. Planned Parenthood was over here. And that was a barber shop, you said, before.
I know Harold was interested in that.
Yes, in the Firestone store with me. And then right over here was a shoemaker shop for many years. What was in there before that?
What kind of shop was it?
Shoemaker. And then over here was a Greek restaurant. And Longs lived in the apartment above that Greek restaurant.
Well, I remember when this was built. It was built by a man in Litchfield.
We're talking about the block building.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Was that a vacant lot? Was that a vacant lot?
That was a vacant lot, yes. I don't know who was there before that.
Was it ever an Acme store? Acme
That
Grocery?
was, that was an Acme store there. You got a good memory.
I do my homework.
Yeah, you sure did.
Do you remember Malone's Tavern? Was that there?
Very well.
Was that here?
He was a very, very fine person, even though he was a saloon keeper.
Was he related to Malone, who was the spinster who was a chief telephone operator?
I'm sure he was. But Malone operated a highly respectable saloon.
I
And
think he told somebody. That's why it's on, that's why I know Mr. Malone.
What was there before Parlette's Garage? What was in that place
Down here.
over there? Ridgely's was to the right of it. He had a bottling place. But in between Ridgely's and this building where Velocious or somebody had his, Nick Velocious is what I remember, may have been his name.
Yes.
Was that his name? Restaurant operator?
Taylor's, this is Taylor's here.
That was Parlett Ford.
Well, this was just a warehouse. And this was a Cook's grocery store.
Before
I
Crooks
remember
moved down
that.
into Budke's building.
Yeah. Well, Bucky's would be down here on Main Street.
Yeah, further back. Uh-huh.
Down on Main Street. But who was here, I'm trying to think.
Well, that was Malone's Tavern, wasn't it?
Yes.
And then a barber shop next door.
But we'd have to take both those buildings.
To be both. Was there a bicycle shop with the barber shop?
It was
Remember that?
it was a barber shop and the saloon there.
Do you remember when they...
Taylor's, this is Taylor's. You can see part of Taylor's building.
Right.
Sam, on Main Street, next to where Dad had his jewelry music store, and before Blank was there, who was there? Oh, that was Sax's uncle was there.
Huh?
That's right.
That was
The uncle
Marino's
of the
building.
next door to, comes back to me now, next door to where my father was, that became Gendison's and became Cerubin's and then
Your
Marino's.
father,
That was Sax, the uncle of the Sax who opened up a few doors above him, and he had a clothing store too, didn't he?
oh,
The older Sax, the uncle of the Sax who
yeah,
opened
fellow
up the
named,
economy.
fellow named Isaacs.
Isaacs.
Yeah.
Oh, his name wasn't Sax. It was
He
Isaacs.
adopted Sykes. He adopted him. He was
I
a
see.
lawyer, but he couldn't make a living in Ellicott City as a lawyer. About it was because maybe he was Jewish or something, and
And he opened the economy store.
Yeah.
That's what he called his habit
no,
dry
his,
goods store.
his brother opened the economy.
I
department
see.
store.
Oh, that's right. The man's name was Isaacs. A nice elderly couple there when I was a kid.
That's
That
where
was-
your father.
Next door.
Next door.
Preceded Blanks, which preceded the clock shop.
Okay, that one.
Isaacs. Now it comes back. I can picture the front of it right now. It was center entrance with two of the old-fashioned windows that you.
Here's Taylor.
Like
See,
an old-
look. See your
Yes,
building?
yes,
It's a big
nice,
building.
yeah.
Sure. Still there. Looks just like it.
It's a big building. You can see the part of it sticking up top there.
Sure. Walked by it not long ago. Let me ask you, let's go back to your building here. Can you think about before your mother bought that building and before you had the tavern keepers in there? When you were a little kid, was there anything in there? Did somebody live in that house?
As far as I know, that was a tavern for years. And everybody, I didn't finish telling the story, everybody who went there as a saloon keeper, my mother rented for $35 or $33 and something a month. And it was a home and a store.
A whole
I
bunch
said it
of
was a big building. And when you had Prohibition, what year was that, you know?
20s, wasn't it? In the
Anyhow, well,
1920s.
what they did,
Up until 33. I think.
the people there couldn't make a living as various saloon keepers, but Levison hit the right spot. They had Prohibition. And a lot of people came there with big cars and loaded them up with liquor. I mean, I don't mean one case, but many cases, and they hauled it off to Virginia and different places. And he became very wealthy, he became a millionaire. His daughter may be living, she lives in, if she is living.
I've met them in the past. Dr.
Yeah.
Dorff and his
That's
wife.
right.
Yeah.
Dorff, later on, Dorff, one of the Dorffs, married a doctor, one of Levison's daughter. He financed the doctor, I'm pretty sure of that.
Okay, but before your mother, when did your mother buy it?
Sam, where were you born?
Huh?
Where were you born?
In Ellicott City,
In 1899.
I was delivered by a midwife,
Here?
Were you born in that house?
yes. A midwife delivered me.
When did Grandma first come to Ellicott City? Was it from? She was in Richmond where my mother was born, and then came to Washington, and then to Ellicott City.
So that would be 19.
So Rose was born in 1892.
Oh, this is not.
You were born in 1899, so it had to be in between those 2 years. Where was Libby born?
Libby was born in Ellicott City.
So, and Libby was in between the two of you.
No, wait a minute. Libby and Rose were born, came to Ellicott City, and I always remember this story that somebody asked her who they were, and she said, well, my sister's name is Rosie Caplan, my name is Libby Kind. That was Libby child.
That was what they called her as a baby.
Lib-
Libelekind.
That's a term in German.
In Jewish, Yiddish?
Yeah, it's kind of Yiddish.
Uh-huh.
That's really corrupt German.
Uh-huh. So when you were a little fella growing up here, you lived up here?
Well, that was all there.
You lived there?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And then you remember next door was somebody living there when you were?
Levinson, yes.
Before Levinson?
We had, well, before that, we had 2 or 3 different saloon keepers, but they didn't make a success.
Mm-hmm.
The reason they didn't was that Paul Bushy
Apparently always this.
became there, and this man was smart enough, or got away with it, the police, Mr. Wish.
Where was it? Mr. Wish was kind of
Yeah.
his friend, huh?
Was this bootleg liquor? Was it
Mr. Wish.
bootleg? Is that what?
Right across the street, he knew these people was loading up these big Cadillacs and Lincolns or whatever they were with liquor and took it on to Virginia.
Where was it made?
Huh?
Where was the liquor made?
Oh, the liquor was made, regular liquor was bought like Pike's Oil, and there was Old Overhaul, and there was liquor.
Was a brand of
liquor.
rye. Merlin rye.
So it wasn't bootleg liquor?
No, apparently.
No, but the point is this, the police, I'm sure, knew about this, but he did nothing about it. And whether they gave him some money or not, I don't know. But I do know that Levison made a fortune there, went to Baltimore, and lost a great deal of it
That's not Levinson Klein, would it be?
in real estate investment. But the daughter, I haven't had an idea that daughter is living in Baltimore. Look her up.
I've met her over the years, but I didn't realize she'd tell me of her relationship with Ellicott City, but I didn't realize it so acutely until just now.
She married, Dr. Dorff was a poor man, and in those days there's nothing unusual for somebody to say, here, marry my daughter, and
That's right.
here's X number of dollars to get you in business, you know,
Yeah.
Right.
something like that, I know.
Mhm.
So lots of stores moved around Ellicott City, but Caplan's always was at one location.
Yes,
From the time your parents bought the store from Davis,
yes,
it was always there. And then you went into Baltimore City when you were about 10 or 11, when your family moved into Baltimore for a year? Did you?
for less than a year.
Why did they leave?
Well, this isn't generally known, but I don't mind telling you.
Oh.
It's,
You felt sensitive.
we have,
Okay.
my father
Just
and
told
mother,
her.
father and mother failed, and the great extent of $400 or $500 they owed.
I see.
And they came back to Ellicott City at the request of Mr. Van Zandt, who was then chief of police, and a very fine gentleman. He knew as much about law as most lawyers, and he insisted that we come back to Ellicott City, and we didn't stay in Baltimore, I don't think 6 months. The man we sold our grocery store to was shot, a fellow named Brown, the following month or 2 months.
They went in to run a grocery store.
Yeah, for a short while.
But you never sold your building? You kept your building?
They
Yep.
moved.
Did,
We own this building
Yes.
and this building next door.
Right, and when you went to Baltimore, you kept those
Kept
buildings?
those buildings, yes.
And then you came back to the same
Yes.
buildings?
There was Mr. Donovan.
Yes,
He was a senator too, incidentally.
right.
State
And he
Senate.
insisted that we come back,
And then you did better, and business became better?
yes. My sister Rose didn't want to come back. She, you know,
And just think, if she hadn't come back, she wouldn't have met Mr. Taylor. And we wouldn't
Well,
be standing here today with Mr.
well, your
Taylor.
store hasn't changed one bit where you
No.
started business.
No,
He
no.
started business. When a man came in, he fixed a crystal for 50 cents, and he knew where to get it or not. Old man Roman, he had a habit of not paying people.
Who was that?
Mr. Roman, you know.
Oh, Loman, oh, yes.
The barber.
Yeah, his credit reputation wasn't good, the barber. That's true. Yeah, I'll take care of it tomorrow. I left my wallet left without any money. Never did pay.
We were there. I was born there, I'm sure not. I was delivered, I know that, by a midwife.
Do you remember what was next door? What were in the shops next to you when you were a child? When you were very young?
Loman Barber
Loman's
Shop.
Barber Shop,
It was 125 years old.
the old frame building. And how about the one next door to Loman's Barber Shop?
That was on Mr. Bryan. That was a grocery store, but Mrs. Holtman, who also owned a farm.
Uh-huh.
And I've been out to that farm many times. Sometimes, you know, I'd go out and they'd tell you could have the peaches and had a peach tree there near the barn. And if they were on the ground, and I remember I was with a boy named Holtman whose grandmother was Mrs. Holtman, old lady Holtman, and he'd run against the stream and he'd have all the peaches you want.
Where was that farm, Sam? Where was the farm?
Oh, the farm's still there.
Where?
I'd love to have bought that farm. It's up on Newcut Road. You know where,
Can't think of a farm.
next to Eigler's farm, Eigler, your farm,
Is it Bogger's farm?
Taylor's store,
A Bogger?
Blogger, you had a Bloggers on there, but Taylor's still buy, I think, food, tomatoes and stuff from them.
Could be Bogger's stand.
Boggers has the place there, B-A-U-G-H-E-R.
Yes, they're up there.
Yeah.
I don't.
Something. I think what it was. Now, my first grade teacher was Brian's daughter, Ada Bryan.
What's her name?
Ada Bryan.
Oh,
And
yes.
she married Slip Cavey, who was the cashier at the bank across the street from her
I
store.
didn't know who Slip, well, wait a minute, Slip Cavey married, later on, married, Mr. Bryan's adopted daughter.
Was she adopted? I see.
She was Italian, you know.
No, I didn't know. I know she was pretty. As a first grade student, I thought she was beautiful.
Yes. Yes. I'm surprised you haven't heard of a first grade student because maybe Miss Mamie was a first grade student when I was there.
Well, no, I might have been her first year's teaching. Then Dora Grimes was in the second grade, and we moved up to the new school here on the hill. And Dora Grimes lived for a long time in that white
She
house
built a house.
above the castle, the second house above the
Oh,
castle.
okay,
She
right.
built it, and she lived there with her mother.
Let me ask him. Sam, you remember there was a school on Hill Street? Did you ever remember that?
On Hill Street.
Uh-huh.
No, I went to the school up on, it was a hill, you had to go up a hill like this.
Right.
It was a wooden building.
Right.
And Harry House bought that building and tore it down and kept the lumber and built another house, maybe part of it.
Did he build a house, did Harry House build the house up on Columbia Pike
Yes,
from the scraps from the old school? Is that right?
some of it, yes.
Yes.
I'll get you further away
Okay.
from this.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what the old stone building
He
was.
doesn't know it before
No,
the
I know.
I said it was a saloon for years.
Okay, I'll use that information then, and I really appreciate,
That's all
I'm
right.
sorry that your nephew woke you up.
Well, we woke up his brain too.
Well,
Right,
I personally was born in Ellicott City,
yes.
but delivered by some midwife, and I think her name, I'm trying to think of her name. My mother told me her name, but she apparently took the place of obstetricians.
Sure.
She delivered many babies.
Sam, were the Bablins and Caveys related? The Barbers. The Caveys came after the Bablins. They bought their shop. But I wonder if they were actually related. I think Cavey married one of Bablin's daughters.
I'm trying to think whether they were related.
I'm not sure.
It might have been a relationship there, I don't know.
Wanted to ask you, do you remember Dr. Owings?
Oh, yes.
Was he a big fat man?
Yes, he was my mother's doctor, and he, unfortunately, at the time of the flood, I think he saw his wife going down the river on top of the house.
And 7 of his children.
Huh?
7 of his
I
children
didn't
drowned.
know how many children there were, but
He married again,
when
remember?
he lived in a place called Lilacs on Columbia Pike,
Big granite house.
and my brother-in-law wanted to buy it, but Rose didn't like it because it was too much,
We did buy it.
The big granite house?
Yeah, we bought
Too
it.
much-
My mother wouldn't live there.
too much,
Father bought
it was too much trees
Trees.
and lonely, and they didn't buy it.
it. So then instead they bought the other house.
The frame one. Did Dr. Owings drive a horse and buggy? Remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
He was
very well.
big and fat. Somebody told me, or maybe you did.
He was our doctor.
Was it hard for him to get in and out of the buggy because he was so large?
I don't remember so much about that, but I know he was a good doctor.
Who was the doctor who took care of me when I was burned?
Old Dr. Gamble,
That's what I thought.
but if he had only thought of carrying which most doctors probably never heard of it, it's linseed oil and lime water. Everybody ought to keep a bottle of that around
See,
the
his
house.
mother was kind of a, she was kind of a doctor.
Yeah. Well, people doctored their own families, you know.
That
And
was
of course,
just-
Sam knew a lot of these things too.
Sure.
Well, you're very lucky you didn't get hurt first.
Oh yeah, I was lucky to be alive.
Some
Hoodlum.
hooligan from Catonsville, I think, shot this woman Cannell, and he had some firecrackers from us in a box, and like a kid he held on to it. It was a
Had some sparklers and spit
it was a box that
records had come. Records. We were signed records.
yes, we had records.
That's right. You didn't hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's correct. You know, Sarah House said she was looking out of her window. She lived over the place where it's now Cocoa Lane, and she thought it was Tubby Brandenburg who shot her.
Well, I know your father would spend any kind of money to find out who it was. He did. He really got a detective, and
I don't know.
But, but I don't think he found out.
No.
She probably wouldn't say at that age.
You were very lucky you weren't burnt worse.
Yeah, oh yes, very, very true.
You had a box of
I was
firecrackers.
carrying a box of
Oh,
spit
you
devils
had
and
them?
sparklers in my arm.
Oh,
The Roman
no
candle hit
wonder.
me, lit these things, everything
We
went
used to sell firecrackers.
See, I wasn't allowed to have anything
Since,
more potent than that, but that was bad enough.
Since then, they don't allow firecrackers in Ellicott City.
And you were in your temporary store down by Crafts while you were building your new store when this happened, is that right? You temporarily had your store across from Mrs.
No.
Kraft's Meat Market.
No, we rented that store next below Crafts.
Yes, right, while you built your new
There's a Greek owned it.
Coronas or Valmus,
Hello?
right?
I think one of the Valmuses owned it.
I got to run too.
Yeah.
It's been,
They just got a call for their food.
oh, you're gonna be eating soon too, so now that you're awake, I'm gonna feed you. It's really been good seeing you, Sam. You lost a little weight, you're gonna have to eat a little bit more. Okay? Have to fatten you up before you're 90. When's your birthday?
Well,
When is your 90th birthday?
December 17th.
December. Great. That's marvelous. 90 years ago in old Ellicott City, right?
Well, I tell you, this is
Yes,
very good.
I've
That's great.
been
Thought
in
I'm
the
gonna get
city for a
time.
long time.
Yeah.
You sure have.
Okay. So long. Have a good dinner.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.